It is Friday. Happy Faithful Friday, y'all. Okay, so it is day 4. We have made it 4 weeks this month of prayer, and we just got one more to go after we get through with this one. But so as y'all can see again, I'm at the park, so we're gonna have some background noise possibility, and y'all gonna maybe see some people, but it's okay because the message is what is important. And let's just get into what song we're gonna hear today. We are listening to Tasha Cobbs. Tasha Cobbs. I'm getting ready, and she's talking about getting ready to see the blessings that God has given her, getting ready to see the victory that God has already promised her, getting ready to see all that God has for her, and that's what we're going to talk about today. As usual, the songs will relate to our message. So we're talking about getting ready. We're talking about prayer and preparation. You're going to pray through preparation. You're going to prepare yourself for the prayer that you're asking for. Prepare yourself for the deliverance and the blessing and the breakthrough that God is definitely going to give you. So it's like, when we start praying, we usually a lot of times we're praying to God for something to happen for us or something to stop happening to us. And it's so easy for us to just go out and be like, God, take this away from me, or God, I want to be delivered from this, or God, can I have this, or this would be nice time for me to have this, I think I'm ready for this. But there's a lot of times we are, talking that talk, we're not walking that walk. So that's what we're really getting into, is how to prepare yourself for the things that you're actually asking for. Are you going to work, or are you just going to sit there and talk to God? So we already know prayer requires action. There's a lot of things. It's like God says, come to me. God says, call to me. God says, seek me and I will give you whatever it is that you ask for. But without that action, are we truly going to show God that we're ready for it? Are we truly showing God that we want whatever it is that we're asking for? I don't know. Are you proving it to him? Are you saying, I really want this, but I'm not going to do anything for it. I just want you to give it to me. No, we want to be like, I really want this. I'm going to prepare myself for its coming, and I'm going to do something to allow it to come. If you want that job, you're going to put in work to fill out those applications. If you want that car, you're going to prepare yourself and looking for the model that you want. Have enough money saved up so you can put that down payment and, get your permit, get your driver's license, and know how to drive this vehicle, right? So a lot of people already know this verse is like, faith without works is dead. But where does that come from? It comes from James 2:17 through 20. We're just going to take that snippet from James 2. It says, how foolish can you see that faith without good deeds is useless? You say you have faith, for you believe there is one God. Good for you. Even the demons believe this, and they tremble in terror. Now someone may argue, some people have faith, others have good deeds. But I say, how can you show your faith if you don't have good deeds? I will show you my faith by my good deeds. You see, faith by itself is not enough unless it produces good deeds. It is deeds. Deeds alone is useless. So it's saying, we can have our faith, but that's not enough. Praying with our faith that God's going to do it, that is what we definitely need. But sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes a lot of the times we do need to work at whatever it is that we're asking for. And there's going to be things that are challenging for you, and you want God to help you through it, but he's going to need you to say, I know that you can do this for me, but I'm going to put in some work to help you along the way, to allow that breakthrough to happen. To have that process of change, we have to make change ourselves. So I'm just going to give a couple of examples on how or different things that we can ask for, and a little bit of ways on how to make that happen. And the first one is something that we all desire every day of our lives, and definitely in the world that we have now, is peace. We definitely want some peace, but the ways that we get it is how. There's practical ways that are worldly ways, and yeah, you could, continue doing a hobby that you love, or go to sleep and sit up all night or watching the shows, and this may be relaxing to you, but is this going to give you everlasting peace? Is this going to give you peace beyond your day? Is this going to give you more joy and purpose throughout your life, in that peace that you're really searching for? No, the only peace that we can really search for that's going to change our lives is the peace of God. And how do we get that peace of God? Is through trusting Him, through praying to Him and praising Him. So give your days out to the Lord every day for Him to guide you. That's something I do a lot of mornings when I know I need that peace, which is every day. So it's like I pray to God in the morning and say, like, God, this day is for you. Whatever you have for it, let it be your will. Whatever comes my way, not allow it to attack my ego, not allow it to attack my spirit, my soul. And if it does, I want you to block it. I want you to help me to do it. And I want to let my words and my walk with you, my walk in this world, glorify you. And whatever someone tries to come and attack me, let it not prosper, let it not come against me. Just give up that control of the day. And that's usually where we find ourselves in trouble, is when we try to control situations. So releasing that control will also give you that peace. So you're going to pray, you're going to praise, and you're going to surrender that control over to God. Another one a lot of us need is community, especially in the times that we have COVID, people are at home, you're not able to see your family, but we do need community. We do need to reach out to other people so that we're not left alone in our heads, so we're not left alone to just feel down or be depressed with ourselves. We have to have that deliverance. So the ways that we gain our community is to vocalize, open your mouth, speak to people, allow people into your life and into your situation, but also join a small group, join a group that is like-minded, if it's biblical, or even if it's a workout group or anything that you enjoy to do. Reach out to people who are doing exactly what you love, and you're going to be able to get what you're asking for. If you're asking for God to give you people, do something to say, I want people, by opening your mouth and going to them. Another one is wisdom. A lot of us, we need clarity in this world. We need understanding. We want to seek knowledge. We want to make sure that we're making the right decision in everything that we're doing. Wisdom is the quality of having good judgment based on knowledge. It is popularly known as being able to discern. So discerning is, knowing right from wrong. Discerning is being able to see the enemy in a situation, or being able to see the spirit in a situation. And seeing the differences between the two of them is the way that God allows us to discern and, make the right choice on which way to go. If knowledge is power, then wisdom is the ability to apply that knowledge to have power, to apply that power in whatever situation that you're going through. And the last example that I have is, people like relationship, along with community, but this is more intimate, a relationship, one-on-one relationship with God, one-on-one romantic relationship with another partner. But what are the things that you have to do to get that relationship? If you're not ready for that relationship, you're going to prepare yourself. You're going to learn to be selfless. You're going to learn to apologize, learn to speak up about how you feel. But you're going to practice this with relationships that you have in everyday life, whether it be your family, whether it be co-workers, whether it be your friends, or even how you treat yourself. If you don't know how to treat yourself properly, how are you going to understand, or how are you going to allow someone else to treat you better than you treat yourself? So it's like, practice your whatever it is you're gaining in a relationship or wanting a relationship with other people, but also transform yourself to be prepared for that person. And there's different things, all of these things God will give to us, like wisdom. I forgot to mention James 1:5. It says, God's gonna give you whatever you ask for. And if you ask for wisdom, he'll give it to you. It says, but if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives all generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him. And that goes to show with all of these qualities, whatever you ask for, God's going to give it to you. And that's going to actually lead into our next section on how do you even prepare yourself for God's answer. And the first one that I've come up with is, building your faith. Trust that God is faithful. Trust that God is going to give you whatever it is that you are asking for. But prepare yourself as before for what he is promised you. God is faithful, and if he said he will do it, then he will do it. But he's not going to always do it the way that you want him to do it, or the timing he wants you to do it, because he knows that you may not be ready for it, or he knows that you're not preparing yourself for it to come, and you may lose it because it is ahead of schedule. So before we get to that, so Matthew 7:11 says, if you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give what is good to those who ask him. So if you are asking for something, and just like in the worldly sense, if you ask a friend, if you ask your own father for something and he gives it to you, and he gives you exactly what you asked for and not something different. If you're going to ask for bread, they're not going to give you like a cup of water. Like, that's not what you asked for. So if you're asking God for a peace, he's not going to give you chaos. He may give you something to strengthen you, to allow you to appreciate and be more thankful for that peace. But eventually he's going to give you exactly what you need and exactly what you want in the time frame that he wants to give it to you. John 14:13 and 14 say, whatever you ask in my name, that will I do, so that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask me anything in my name, I will do it. So that's the other very important thing, is when we're praying to God for something, make sure whatever you're praying for is something that's going to glorify him. Make sure whatever you're praying for is going to be something that says, God, I'm going to be able to give this gift and this blessing back to you, and I'm going to use it for your glory. So that's to say that I'm not going to be selfish with it. I'm going to utilize it to uplift you, and I'm going to thank you for it. And the next thing is, like, understand that God's timing is not your timing. So how we prepare ourselves is to learn how to be patient. Learn how to not get everything in microwave time, but in, crock pot time or oven time. You want to take the process of whatever it is that you're gaining and see it through. Don't try to rush it. Don't try to get to it so quickly that you may miss something in the development process and you may lose it, or you may have to stop and start all over with whatever it is that you're missing. Just because God, hears our prayers, and just because God may promise that he's going to give it to you, not all the time it's going to be right away. You may not even get the answer that you want. And just because you haven't received something in the time frame that you thought it should be received in, it doesn't mean that God can hear you as well. He already knows what we need. He already knows what we want, but he also knows when we're going to be ready for it. And if we're asking for it prematurely, he knows the consequences before we do. And we're not going to appreciate it even more if we get it too soon. We may in the moment be like, oh yeah, I got this finally, God is blessing me with a relationship, or God's blessing me with this house or this car. But he's like, you didn't prepare for it, but I'll give it to you, and you may lose it, or you may have other consequences that come along with it. But if I give it to you in the timing that I say it's supposed to be for you, you'll be able to sustain it in the long run. But prepare yourself so that you are ready for whatever timing that God has for you. But also realize, just because you think you're ready, that doesn't mean that that blessing is ready for you. So if you're looking for a relationship and you've done whatever it takes to be formed into the person that God wants you to be, to, go through all these relationship seminars or read in the Bible about relationship or whatever it is to prepare yourself. Understand that that other person is also going through a preparation process. Understand that that person may not be there yet, and the timing it takes for them to get ready could hinder yourself, because your lack of patience will cause you no longer to be ready. So it's kind of a give and take. It's you, and it could be the other thing or the other situation. Maybe it's not a person. Maybe it is something like a house, and you want to get a home in 6 months, but the home that God has for you may not be ready for another 18 months. But you have to be patient in knowing, through this process, I'm going to praise you. Through this process, I'm going to continue to praise you and prepare myself for this home. So another an example on how to be patient is like through a harvester, through a farmer. God is he shows many examples of a farmer who knows the timing when to place the seeds in the ground. He knows, it's like a farmer plants his crops. He must decide how and when to till his fields. Tilling or tillage means to prepare the soil and make it good for the seed bed and for the plant to grow and being fertilized. Tilling normally begins after the last crop is harvested. So after you have pulled up whatever it is that you're growing, then you till the fields again, or the soil again, to prepare it for the next harvest. He may also put out fertilizer or plant food that will help the crop grow. So you may need to add more food into whatever soil that you're doing. So that's kind of like for us, you need to add to your spiritual growth. You need to add to your relationship with God in order to prepare you for those good fruits. If you don't prepare yourself and you are planting on a surface or in a ground that is not properly prepared, that can damage your fruits. And we don't want our fruits to be damaged. We don't want our blessings to be damaged. We want to be able to say, I have received in the right timing, and it is good, and it is going to last. And we definitely have to get a solid foundation for our prayers to be manifested upon, for our prayers to grow, for our prayers to last, and our blessings and our breakthrough to be true and honest and glorifying to God. The last thing I have is to worship. Worship God with what you already have. Be thankful for your current blessings, so that He knows that you're going to be faithful with the blessings that He has for you to come. If you are, not faithful with the blessings He has, how can He trust you with new ones? How can He trust that you're going to take care of the blessings that He's going to give you? And actually, the last one we have into preparing ourselves for our breakthrough is probably one of the most difficult one, and it kind of goes in alignment with patience, is discipline. Discipline yourself. You have to stay diligent, and you have to be consistent and persistent for whatever it is that you want. And if you are not disciplined in the long run, you can fall behind. And that goes along with patience, because sometimes that timing is not how you want it to be. It's not in the time frame that you want it to be. But if you continue to discipline, you'll learn different ways to grow yourself, and you'll be able to gain different blessings along the way. Hebrews 12:11 says, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who are trained by it." So just like that harvest for a farmer, it takes time for your crops to be, cultivated, for your trees to grow, for your fruits to be produced. There are some trees and plants that take 10 years before they produce anything. But if you discipline yourself and do the proper things to prepare for that plant to come, it will be full. It will be rich of nutrients. It will grow just the same as our blessings. It will be full. It will be rich of God's glory and blessings over your life so that you can continue to cultivate new blessings, to have that fruit make more fruit and not wither and die too soon. So we see how we can prepare ourselves for our breakthrough and our blessings, but there are definitely ways on where we can stop this from happening. And these are the damages of not being prepared, the damages of getting a premature yes, or the damages of just asking for something without being prepared for it. And one of them is emotional damage. You will be, you can be given the wrong relationship or the right relationship at the wrong time. But because you weren't prepared for it, you're going to go through things that you probably should not have gone through because it wasn't the person that you were supposed to be with or the person you were supposed to be with at that time. It can create trust issues. It can distort your view on relationships to where you no longer want to be married, or you no longer want to have kids, or you no longer want to be with anyone, period. And you want to only have, situationships or short-term relationships to satisfy you for a specific season, cuddle season that comes out, or summer flings and stuff like that. But it's never lasting because you were damaged before, because you were hurt before, and you were only hurt because it was premature. You thought you wanted something, but in the time frame that you got it, you didn't even prepare yourself to receive it. And it can cause stress, it can cause depression, it can cause anxiety, it can cause all these mental issues and heartache, and that's not something we should have had. But because we weren't prepared for God's blessing or preparing ourselves for it, we got a premature yes, and we were not able to sustain it in a proper way. Another way is financial hardships. If you're asking for that house and you're not prepared for it, you're gonna come up with damages that you didn't even know were there. Repairs or taxes or just anything that a house comes with. If you're looking for a car and you're not prepared for it, that you may have enough money for that down payment, but are you going to have enough money for your bills plus insurance? That's a reoccurring bill every month. And if you lose your job, or if there's a situation that happens where you don't have enough saved up, or you didn't have a job that gave you enough money in the first place, you weren't prepared for that car. Or if you get a car from someone and you don't even know how to drive it, if someone gives you a stick but you only know how to drive an automatic, then there's a problem there. Now you're losing time. So that's another damage. You've lost time that cannot be replaced. That's one of the most valuable things that we have. We can replace money, we can replace valuable things, but we cannot replace people, and we cannot replace time. But God can still restore everything that has been damaged. Another thing is spiritual disconnection. If you get something prematurely and you're not mature enough to handle that no or disappointment, you can start blaming God, and that could cause a division between you and God. You can start sinning and doing things that are saying, why did you give me this and you knew I wasn't ready? Why would you do this and you knew that it was going to hurt me? Why did you? But take a look in the mirror yourself, and you did that yourself. You didn't prepare yourself properly, and you asked for something, and God said, fine, I'll give it to you. And once you got it, you couldn't handle it, but that's not God's fault. He's going to teach you a lesson in all of his yeses. He's going to teach you a lesson in all of his no's, and he's going to teach you a lesson in whatever it is that you're asking for. So even if you are ready for it, those preparation steps is to strengthen you, is to develop you, is to get you ready, but it's also to build your faith. And so it's what not to do is definitely not to blame God, not to not prepare yourself, because the blessing is going to come, but make sure it's going to be something that you're ready for. But there's also two things not to do in the preparation process. And the first one is just, check your attitude. If you're not patient, there can be an attitude of judgment that needs to be placed on you. You can start to complain. You can grumble, and these are things that are sin. We've talked about this in a previous lesson, how the Israelites being delivered from Egypt to go to the promised land by Moses, they were complaining, and they turned an 11-day journey into 40 years. So your complaining can extend your blessing, which then can cause you to have to prepare even longer, or to adjust your patience level, and that could bring a wedge between you and God if you're not understanding that he's saying, like, stop complaining and be thankful for everything that I'm giving to you. And the second and last thing that we have on what not to do, try not to answer your prayers on your own. Don't speak it to God and be like, he's taking too long, so I'm just going to do it myself. We also talked about an example of this in a previous lesson with Abram and Sarai, who wanted children, but for 10 years after God promised it, he still didn't give them children. So Sarai said, go ahead and sleep with my handmaid Hagar and have kids. And that was not the way that God designed their way of children to come. So not until another 14 years later was Sarai able to have children. So she waited 24 years. They waited 24 years for God's blessing to come about. And we should not try to take control, because that can extend the blessing and the breakthrough that God has for us. So no matter how small or great your prayers are, do something practical today and every day so that you can get closer to your breakthrough and anticipate your breakthrough and your prayers to happen. Prepare your prayers with anticipation that they will be answered. So that's all that we have for today. Thanks for joining and tuning in. I just pray that it was a blessing to you. So that is day 4, praying with preparation. Pray for the preparation of your prayers and your breakthrough. Definitely like and comment and share it, and tell me anything else that you have learned from it, if you have liked it, if you've gotten anything from it. And so just have a great, wonderful, faithful Friday, and I will see you next week on day 5 of prayer. Okay, bye.